So faceless YouTube, huh? I get it. It's like everywhere right now, and we've got this guide all about using AI to basically set up a whole channel start to finish.
Yeah.
What is it about faceless that kind of grabs you?
I think for a lot of folks, it's the ability to separate content from, like, personality, right? You're not building a personal brand. So the focus just shifts to what you're actually sharing.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
The guide, it kind of jumps right into the setup, like how to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing is picking a niche.
Right.
And it talks about ChatGPT and vidIQ and TubeBuddy.
Yeah. Niche selection, it is, like, super key, especially for a faceless channel, right? Where you're not like, hey, it's me. You know, those AI tools are amazing because they don't just, like, spit out trends. They can, like, really get into it. So let's say vintage tech is your thing.
Okay.
vidIQ, it can analyze how many people are searching for, like, restoring old game consoles or, you know, the competition, even what keywords are working for other channels.
So it's not just what's popular. It's about finding an opening.
Yeah, yeah. AI can find those hidden gems, you know? Game Boy Color motherboard repair.
Oh, wow.
Super specific. People are searching for it, but low competition. It's like your own little digital bloodhound, you know, sniffing out the perfect audience for you.
That's really cool. Okay, so we got our niche.
Yeah.
Now we need the actual stuff, the content.
Yep.
I see ChatGPT and Jasper AI are the big names for writing scripts.
Right.
I've played around with ChatGPT. It's always wild to me how you can just give it a little prompt and it like creates this whole script.
Oh, it's incredible. Like, imagine that Game Boy repair video. You give ChatGPT a few bullet points, like, here's what I want to cover, a little outline, and it'll draft a script, steps, explanations, even like transitions and stuff.
So it takes care of the structure, but then you come in with the real like knowledge, right? Make sure it's all good.
Oh, for sure, for sure. AI is the start. It's not the end. Your knowledge is what turns that AI stuff into something, you know, people will actually want to watch.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, then there's the voice. Now, I'll be honest, when I thought of text-to-speech, I pictured that old robotic sound. But this guide mentions Murph AI, Well Said Labs, Play.ht. Are they actually realistic?
Oh, yeah. The tech has come such a long way. Murph AI, for example, has this massive library of voices, accents, tones, all sorts. So you pick a voice that just, like, fits your stuff, right? A calm voice for meditation, something more, I don't know, upbeat for a tech review.
So you could even use a different voice on each channel, right, if you had multiple.
Yeah, exactly. And you can go deeper, you know, adjust the pacing, how it emphasizes things, even add breaths to make it sound, well, human.
That's really interesting. And I bet that's huge for people who maybe don't love their own voice or maybe want to make stuff in, you know, a different language.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of accessibility, it's a game changer. And then it makes you think, like, what does a certain voice do for people? A warm voice, it builds trust, or maybe a voice that sounds, you know, kind of authoritative is better for teaching.
That's cool, yeah. Okay, so we've got our script, we got the voice, but what about what people see? You can't really film if you're going faceless.
True. But your videos don't have to be just, like, boring slides.
Yeah.
Tools like Pictory and InVideo, those are awesome for making visuals that move and change, using stock footage, pictures, text that moves on the screen. Like, picture that Game Boy script, but now it's a video with close-ups of the parts, diagrams on top of the footage, text highlighting the steps.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes way more sense. So much better than someone just talking over a still image.
Yeah, exactly. And with Canva, you can even create custom graphics, you know, stuff that matches your brand. It's all about thinking visually and using these AI tools to bring your content to life.
This is starting to sound like something anyone could actually do, you know. But what about editing? That's usually the part that kind of scares people away.
Well, that's where AI is, like the ultimate time saver. Descript, for example, it lets you edit your videos just by changing the words in the transcript. Like, you delete a sentence from the text, poof, it's gone from the video. No more messing with timelines or clunky software.
Wait, so if I messed up a word while I was recording, I could just change it in the text and Descript will, like, fix the audio.
Yep. And if you need more advanced editing, Runway AI, it can do things like remove the background, track objects, even make new visuals based on words you type in.
That's incredible. It's like AI could almost edit the whole thing on its own, right?
Well, not quite. You still need a human, you know, to make sure it flows well and matches your, like, vision.
Right.
But the AI takes care of the boring stuff so you can focus on the creative side.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you have more time to spend on, like, making those eye-catching thumbnails and titles because those are so important on YouTube.
Yeah.
The guide mentions Canva again, and then Thumbnail Blaster. Are those mainly AI-powered?
Canva's got some great AI stuff for like suggesting layouts and elements based on your content. Okay.
And Thumbnail Blaster, it uses AI to like look at what works for other videos, and then it suggests titles and thumbnails that are going to, get people's attention.
It's like having your own marketing team built right into the software.
Exactly. And on YouTube, it's so crowded that a good thumbnail and title, that can be the difference between someone clicking or just scrolling right past you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so we've covered, wow, a lot. Niche selection, writing scripts, voiceover, visuals, editing, thumbnails, titles. Is there anything else we got to think about before, launching their whole faceless YouTube empire?
I mean, we've got the foundation, but
Yeah.
there's like a whole other layer to being successful on YouTube. We have to talk about SEO and keywords and, TubeBuddy and vidIQ. Those are the AI tools that really come in handy there. They look at search trends, find the right keywords, and even help you optimize your descriptions and tags so that people actually find your stuff.
So you could make the most amazing videos, but if no one can find them, what's the point? Yeah. Like the best restaurant in town, but they forgot to put a good sign.
Right.
AI makes sure you get, discovered. And speaking of getting discovered, we can't forget about automating stuff. Tools like Buffer and Hootsuite, they help you schedule your videos so they go live at the best time, and they can even share them on other platforms automatically.
So I don't have to be like on my phone at 3 in the morning hitting publish. AI will do that for me.
That's right. It's all about, working smarter, not harder. And then once your videos are out there, got to know how they're doing, right? That's where YouTube Studio Analytics comes in with its AI insights. Tracks everything, views, watch time, even who's watching.
Wow, that's a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be helpful in figuring out what people like and what could be better.
Absolutely, yeah. You can see which videos are getting the most love, what kind of viewers you're attracting, even get AI suggestions for new content.
So it's not just like set it and forget it. It's this constant cycle of looking at the data and using it to improve, using the AI.
Exactly. AI isn't just about creating the channel. It's about building a strategy, one that uses data and evolves over time.
This has been a really amazing overview of the whole process. I'm blown away by how AI can help with basically every step, from finding that niche to like understanding how people are reacting. I'm curious though, beyond the technical stuff, are there any like special challenges or advantages to doing a faceless channel?
Ooh, that's a great question. And it kind of leads us into some interesting territory. Building trust when there's no person, standing out when there's so much out there, the whole ethics of AI. We should dive into all that next.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like we've only just like dipped our toes into this whole faceless YouTube world.
I think one of the biggest hurdles with a faceless channel is like, how do you build trust? If there's no person there, you don't have a personal brand to like lean on.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can't be all charming and win people over when they don't even know who you are.
Right, exactly. So you got to build that trust through, like the quality of what you
Right.
make, being consistent, how you interact with people who are watching. It's almost like, a company building a reputation.
So you're not building your brand, you're building the channel's brand.
Yeah.
Almost like it's its own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Your brand might be, I don't know, your visual style, the tone of that AI voice we talked about, what kind of content you're making, or even like sticking to one specific niche really, really well. Like, let's say your faceless channel, it's all about, I don't know, super realistic 3D animation tutorials.
Okay.
That expertise, that becomes your brand,
Makes sense. So how do you stand out then when everyone's doing faceless and you're not like using your personality?
That's where knowing your niche, knowing your audience, that becomes even more important. You got to offer it something different, whether it's a new angle, a unique look, or content that like no one else is making. Remember those, what did we call them? Hidden gem keywords?
Yeah.
Those can be like your secret weapon.
So if I was doing, I don't know, a faceless channel on like experimental electronic music, I could use AI to find keywords that no one else is really using, like microtonal synth tutorials, something like that.
Bingo. You're speaking to a very, very specific group of people with a very specific interest, and the AI helps you zero in on that.
So it's all about finding your lane
Yeah.
and then just like owning it.
Right.
We talked about the ethics of AI before. Are there any ethical things to think about that are like unique to faceless YouTube?
Yeah. One thing that comes up is transparency. People might wonder, like, who's really behind this? What are they trying to do, especially if the topic is, something kind of sensitive?
Right.
Some creators, they're upfront about using AI. Others, they stay totally anonymous. It's a tricky balance,
Yeah.
privacy versus being accountable for what you put out there.
So there's no one right way to do it. It depends on the person.
Exactly. And it's something viewers should keep in mind, too. It's always smart to, think critically about what you're seeing online. Doesn't matter if you know the person or not.
Always good advice, yeah. It all comes back to, knowing how to navigate the internet, being a smart viewer.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And as this AI-generated stuff gets, even more common, those skills, they're only going to get more important.
It's interesting to think about. Faceless YouTube is changing what it means to be a creator. It's like the content itself is the star.
That is a really interesting way to think about it. It shifts things away from the individual, right? And it's more about the ideas, the information, the art. In a way, it democratizes creativity, makes it open to people who maybe wouldn't be comfortable, putting themselves out there.
And that opens up all sorts of content, right? I'm thinking ASMR, ambient music, maybe even guided meditations where a face doesn't really matter.
Totally. It's not just how-tos and explainers, any kind of content where the focus is on the feeling, the experience, the pure information, that can really work without a face attached.
It makes me wonder, what's this whole faceless trend doing to YouTube as a platform? Is it changing how people, watch stuff?
It's definitely shaking things up a bit, yeah. For some people, they love it. It's finally, just the content, no distractions. But others, they might miss that personal touch. Getting to know the person behind the video.
I guess it just depends what you like.
Exactly. And I think it's important to remember, Faceless, it's not replacing regular YouTube. It's adding to it, More choices, more ways to be creative.
So it's not like one or the other. It's everything's growing and changing.
Exactly. And it's cool to see how those different ways of doing things, they kind of bump into each other and influence each other. Some YouTubers who've always shown their face, they're trying out faceless stuff. And some faceless channels are finding ways to show personality without actually showing a face.
Like a blend of different styles.
Exactly. And that's what keeps it fresh, right? It's always changing. And AI is a huge part of that change.
Speaking of change, makes me think, what's next for faceless content? Are we going to see AI that's so good it's hard to tell what's human and what's, made by a computer?
Oh, definitely possible. AI is just going to keep getting better, more realistic voices, more tools for making video, maybe even AI that can, read how the audience is reacting and change things in real time.
Whoa. That's pretty wild to think about. It makes you wonder, where does the human part even fit in when machines can do so much?
That's the big question everyone's asking right now, Not just on YouTube, but everywhere. And there's no simple answer.
But maybe that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. It's we're figuring it out as we go, and we have to decide how to, navigate it all, be smart about it, and keep being creative.
You got it. And as we're doing that, it's good to remember AI, it's a tool, right? Any tool, it can be used in good ways or bad ways. It's on us to make sure it's used, ethically and in a way that helps people.
That's such an important point. It goes back to what we were saying about, being smart online and thinking critically. The more AI is making content, the more important it's going to be able to tell what's real, what's not, and to watch out for any bias that might be baked into the AI.
100%. We need to be a little skeptical of AI, right?
Okay.
But also committed to using it ethically. And creators, they got to be upfront about how they're using these tools.
It's a lot to think about. This whole conversation, though, has really made me understand how, deep this faceless YouTube thing goes. There's so much to it for both the people making it and the people watching.
I agree. It's this really cool mix of tech, creativity, and how we connect with each other. And it's going to be fascinating to see where it all goes.
So if someone's listening and they're like, okay, I'm in, I want to try this faceless thing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
First things first, find your passion. What are you burning to share with the world? Then dive into all those AI tools we talked about and just play around. Don't worry about messing up. Learn as you go and find your own voice, even if it's not your literal voice,
That's great advice. And remember, the AI, it's there to help you. It's not there to replace you. Use it to, boost your creativity, not get rid of it.
Right on. And never stop learning, never stop adapting. The internet, it's always changing. And the people who succeed, they're the ones who roll with the changes and see them as, a chance to grow.
We started this deep dive thinking about the, nuts and bolts of faceless YouTube, but it's become so much more than that.
It definitely has. We're talking about the future of how things are made, how humans and tech work together, and how important it is to think critically in a world where AI is like everywhere.
It's like we found something way bigger than we thought we would.
We did, didn't we? And that's the cool thing about exploring. Sometimes the best stuff you find is the stuff you weren't even looking for.
It feels like we've just like scratched the surface,
Yeah.
what AI can do. And faceless content. I'm already thinking like beyond YouTube.
Well,
What else could you do?
yeah, it's not just YouTube for sure. Like think about podcasts.
Right, yeah.
What if you had a whole podcast, right? But each character is a different AI voice, and then you add sound effects and music, all driven by a script.
That would be so cool, like making a whole audio drama without needing actors in the studio.
Exactly. And it goes further. Think about like education,
Hmm.
personalized lessons, right? The AI tailors it to how each student learns best. Or, I don't know, museum exhibits, but interactive. The AI answers your questions as you walk around.
Wow, that's amazing to think about. Making information, learning, it's like more fun and it reaches way more people.
And it's not just about making things accessible. It's about like pure creativity too. AI is a tool for artists, musicians, right?
Right.
Explore new sounds, visual styles, even like collaborate with machines in ways we couldn't before.
That makes me think about all the talk about AI art. Like, is it really art if a machine made it? Where's the human part?
That's a tough one. I always come back to AI. It's a tool, right? It's the human who decides how to use it, what they're trying to say with it.
So it's not about AI replacing us, it's about it giving us more ways to create.
Exactly. And I think we're just getting started figuring out how humans and machines can create together.
Yeah. You know what this guy didn't really talk about? The storytelling part. Like, you can have all the fancy AI tools you want, but if your videos are boring, no one's going to watch them.
Oh, for sure. Tutorials, reviews, even those explainer videos, they all need a good story. Something that grabs people and keeps them hooked. Even if you're not like literally on screen, you can still connect with people. The way you structure things, the tone of the AI voice, the music, the editing, it all plays a part.
So you got to find ways to get your personality in there, your passion, even if we can't see you.
Yeah. Think of it like the AI stuff, the tools, those are like your paintbrushes and the canvas. But your story, your point of view, that's what makes it art.
I like that. That's a great way to put it. So anyone listening who's like, all right, I'm going to do this faceless content, here I come. What's the thing to remember?
Find what lights you up. What are you excited to tell people about? Then dive into those AI tools. Don't be afraid to play around. Find your voice, even if it's, coming out of an AI.
Love it. And remember, the AI is your helper, not your replacement. It's there to boost your creativity, not to take over.
Absolutely. And keep learning, keep changing. Online content, it never sits still. The people who win, they're the ones who change with it and see those changes as opportunities.
This deep dive. Wow. We started with the how-to of faceless YouTube and ended up talking about so much more.
I know, right? We're talking about the future of making stuff, how humans and tech can work together, and thinking critically when AI is making more and more of the content we see.
This has been incredible. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of this whole faceless YouTube world. We've covered a lot of ground, from the nuts and bolts of setting up a channel to the larger implications of AI-generated content. It's clear that this trend is changing the landscape of content creation and forcing us to rethink what it means to be a creator in the digital age. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the tools and resources we discussed today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep diving deep.
And never stop asking questions. The more we explore, the more we learn, and the more amazing discoveries await us on this journey of innovation and discovery.